there's sort of two pieces. I think that you start by talking about, what do we know now? What are the things that we actually know? And what are the things that in this moment that are going to help us make the best decision we can with the information that we know now? And just kind of step back and say, when you think back on this decision in the future, these are the things that you're going to remember, and we list them off together. And this is why we're making the decision that we're making now, because we don't know what's ahead. All we know is what we know at this moment. And so in the future, when you look back at this moment, you're going to remind yourself, this is why we made the decision that we did, and be very concrete in what we know and what we don't know. The other thing I think that can be helpful is that sometimes the reason that, that uncertainty, that fear of the fear of the uncertainty, is because it's so vast. It's so big. It feels like it could go any possible direction. And that the fact that it feels like you have no idea what way it's going to go can also be really hard. And so sometimes I find it helpful to be concrete about, let's talk about what it would look like if it went a particular way. Let's be concrete about the possible outcomes and talk about those actual as outcomes, and what we might do, like which one of those outcomes would be unacceptable to you, and how the fact that there's an unacceptable outcome to you, how does that inform what we're deciding today? Are there situations that would not be acceptable to you? If your child were to need to live the rest of their life in an ICU, is that something that would feel acceptable to you, or is that something that's unacceptable to you? If your child were to need recurrent surgeries for this particular issue, is that something that's acceptable to you? Because there are situations where sometimes I think of a situation where a family was trying to decide about whether to do to test for if their child was aspirating. And so I said, well, let's take the forward view. Let's imagine that you had a positive test. Would you act on that positive test? And sort of fast forward. And so if you're not going to do anything about a positive test, why are you doing the test? Because all the test does is give you something concrete to worry about. And so thinking one step ahead, or if you're thinking about, if you're going to do, if you're doing a test for something, or you're investigating something, what are you going to do with that information, and how will that information be helpful? Can be a really important piece to your decision whether or not to accept that investigation.